From the Ron McKeefery Podcast Network, I'm Isaiah Castilleja, and this is Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0. In this episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0, Coach Haynes talks to us about why you should reach out to as many coaches as possible to learn and grow, the importance of authenticity during an interview and on the job, and how the next 4 years of your life creates the next 40 years of your life. All of this on another episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0. Yeah, definitely. And I agree entirely. And I think it's great what you're doing, and it's good to hear, how practical that is. You're like, it's good that you're bought in. And can you talk a little bit? I mean, you said it's about the culture that was there when you got there. What was it like coming from, Delta State, which is a really good, program there, and like they were, still going to playoffs and everything, and then to come into Ferris State, where, I mean, this is like what, your second or third year there?
Yeah, second year.
Yeah. So, and they've already had a couple established national championships. What was it like selecting the coaches around you that are helping you out with that culture?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, Delta State was such a great experience for me. I learned a lot. I talked about earlier, I don't think I did anything the wrong way. I just did everything the long way.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot at Delta State. It was my first full-time job. The coaches were awesome. They helped teach me everything. It helped me learn that, hey, football is first, and we're here to win games, like you said. And so it was very like micromanaged, where like, hey, everything has to be done this kind of way, and done this way. And it was a way to do things there. And here at Ferris, it's everything's, you color outside the lines a lot here. You know what I mean? It's not
Nice.
like, it's not what you think it would be. And so when you come here, like, the reason I think we get a lot of these athletes is because it's not so in this one direction, or there's not one way to do it. And the culture of both programs are awesome. Like, obviously the goal is to win anywhere you go and do it all. But here at Ferris, like, uh, I was told first on my interview, like, hey, we were the most penalized team in the country. Take it how you will, but we need to be more disciplined. And I learned a lot of that discipline at Delta State. So I was able to take a lot of those, you know, coaching moments and stuff that I learned from other coaches. And when I was at Delta State, I was the head coach, so I didn't have an
Mhm.
assistant there full time, but I did have a grad assistant. And so I brought a guy with me, Dom Hall, and I was able to bring him with me to here. And so he has some really good, insight, and helped me establish the culture that I wanted to here. When I first got here, the the head strength coach for me, I was able to call and talk to him and be like, hey, like, give me the rundown, ask him some questions, and understand, like, man, like, this is actually like a really good place where if you earn your respect, like, the coaches will let you do what you want to do. And that's probably the biggest thing, the biggest difference between the two. But two very good programs. Obviously, like, we won a national championship last year. So, this is like the place to be in my mind. And
Mhm.
I just I couldn't be where I am today without the experience of everywhere else I've been. And so I'm just truly thankful for everywhere I've been.
No, definitely. And what's some advice that you would give to someone who is just starting out in this profession, whether there be a graduate assistant, an intern, they're going through that tough part where it's a lot of work for almost no pay or very little pay. What's some advice you give to that coach?
Yeah, now, I remember when I GA'd, say, like, it's so long ago. When I GA'd, all I got was a stipend, and it
Mm.
was a small stipend. And now, you get tuition covered and board covered, and you get so much stuff. And it's crazy to think that, like, I was, it's just crazy to think, like, how far it's come. Hopefully
Yeah.
people are still working hard and wanting to be and understand the goal, what it is, and that's to be a strength coach. And it's not always going to be easy at first. I think about it like doctors have to go through residencies and do hard things, and so like we do the same thing as well too. But the best advice I've heard is listen to feedback is the hardest thing to do because it challenges who we are and what we
Mm.
think. And so I just encourage everybody to reach out to other athletes, reach or not athletes, coaches, to reach out to other coaches and you know like don't be afraid to go over your program and talk to other people about what you think is going right and wrong. Um, I do like to read and listen to podcasts. I listen to tons of podcasts. I like hearing people talk and hear about their experiences, and you can learn so much from that kind of stuff. Um, so I reach out a lot to coaches, and I just pick their brain. Everyone thinks I know what I'm doing. I feel like I again know just enough to be dangerous, but I love hearing how other people do things. And again, it's feedback. I think if you're doing the same thing you've done for over 6 months, a semester, you'd say, but then you're kind of like failing your athletes because you're not growing. How do you sit there and ask your athletes to grow and be better if you're not doing the same thing? And so I'm rarely stuck in my ways. I'm always trying to educate myself and look for more things. And I think that's probably the biggest advice. And the second thing is networking, kind of going off of that too. Any kind of road game or any time I'm with my wife on vacation, I'll always stop at another school and try to talk to their strength coach. I've met a bunch of great coaches who were very open armed to welcome and want to talk and hang out. And again, like those are just people that I can, always count on and talk to as well too. So don't be afraid to like always stop in and I've gotten kicked out of some schools too, but it's worth it when you can see the weight room and actually get to talk to some coaches. So
Yeah, that's wild. That's good advice, but also that's wild that other places would actually kick you out just for trying to talk to them. But that's
oh man, I shouldn't say kick out. I don't think the coaches know, but I'll tell a story one time. We were
yeah.
playing Wayne State in Detroit, and I feel like I have good connections down south, but since I've been here in Michigan, been kind of different.
Yeah.
So Wayne State's in downtown Detroit, and on the way you actually go through Michigan State, Eastern Michigan, Michigan, and then you're in Detroit. And I didn't know they were all that close together.
Hmm.
So me and my GA at the time, Dom, we were like, all right, let's plan this out. We'll leave early. We'll stop at Michigan State. And we got in like super late. It was like, 5 o'clock at night. So we snuck in behind the janitor and we peeked in. And the strength coach was like, how'd y'all get in here? Because everything's dumb access.
Yeah.
And so we snuck in and tried to talk, and they weren't really having it. Like, hey, y'all got to get out of here. And I'm like, man, we just want to like
Dang.
check it out.
Okay.
So, and then
Nice.
that third school, we tried to get in. And there's just no, they were on lockdown. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's just
yeah.
Big Ten
Yeah.
security for you. But
Dang.
I'm always doing stuff like that, trying to meet people. We were in Chicago the other day. We stopped at Northwestern.
Hmm.
Notre Dame when we were on the way to the conference, and a lot of it's unannounced, which you could be perceived as unprofessional. But I like seeing people in their natural habitat.
No, that's awesome. Well, if you're ever in the Colorado area, holler, you're always more than welcome. We won't kick y'all out, I
For sure.
promise. Yeah.
All the mid-major and D2 teams are, yeah, man, let's talk. And obviously the Division ones are like, hey, like let's be careful. So anytime we go to away games, I'm always like messaging coaches, be like, hey, let's meet up, let's
Mm.
talk. And so that's always been real successful too. So that's a cool thing to do if you're young and upcoming.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's some great advice. Now, what's some advice you'd give to somebody that is looking to be the head strength coach? They're finally, got that experience, got all the education, all the certs and everything, and they find themselves like interviewing for their dream job or like that. It's all, and I try to tell my staff this, like it's all fun and games until you're in the captain's chair, and then you have to like
Yeah,
make those decisions where like the success of your strength and conditioning program is on your shoulders. So, what's advice do you get to those people that are about to be in the captain's chair?
for sure. So like I said, when I was at Arkansas Tech getting My master's when I was a GA. I just remember my mentor, Coach Golden, telling me one day, like, "Hey, you're ready. Like, you can be a head guy if you really push it, you know." And so I started applying everywhere, and I completely lucked up by Delta State. By no means was it the pay grade. I really took it for the title. I remember I grew up in Mississippi, and I always told myself I'd never go back to Mississippi, and just the way the cards fell, like that was just the best opportunity. And I would just listen to my mentor. So I think we have to understand like it is hard to find a head coaching job anywhere. And I when I first did it, I you just got to be who you are. Don't change and be someone you're not because on both places I've interviewed to be the head guy, you are there in person. You do talk to the athletes. Both job interviews I've been at, I've had a player panel where I've had to talk to the athletes, and you're with them more than the coaches and your boss, the athletic director, more than anybody. So if you're real and you know be authentic with them, that's probably the biggest advice I can say. Even whenever I came to Ferris State. Um, just the authenticity, I can't say the word, but just me being authentic,
Mhm.
from what I've gathered, is the reason I got the job. Other people that came in tried to show their chest and talk about things that just they didn't see that was, you know, realistic here at Delta State. You fit in by your personality, I believe. And so just knowing that like you have to be yourself more than your coach. That's the best. Another quote I heard is people don't know how people don't care how much you know. They care about how much they know about. They want to know how much you care. Let me
Mhm.
say that again.
Yeah.
People don't know. People don't care how much you know. They want to know how much you care.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing to these people. Because again, anybody can write a strength program down. It's, sitting back and waiting and making sure that, every team is accounted for and gets the personable side of you that really means the most. And so these young people trying to be a head strength coach, I think you got to understand, like, don't lose focus of why you started. It's not always going to be the best situation all the time, and you're going to have to do a lot of things that people don't want to do. Like, even though the hours seem long right now, they're going to get longer as a head guy. Again, you're an assistant. You get to show up and just kind of do what the boss tells you. But if you're the head guy, um, that don't you don't think about the times where you're talking to your boss or you're talking to other coaches and you're having to delegate and mediate a lot of things too. So that's the big thing that you need to get experience with as well too.
No, definitely. That's some great advice, and you know, as long as the athletes and even the staff know that you care and you're willing to work the time to develop them, and then also just knowing that hey, it'll get better. You just gotta for sure just keep working and keep getting after it. It's always a good thing. Now, what pieces of sports science or what some technology that y'all are using that you've seen some success with or that kind of helped you manage because you're doing football and don't you work with like a few of the other teams there, like a handful of teams?
Yes, sir. So the only uh, technology we have is football has Catapult
Mm,
and women's soccer has SPT, which is just another spinoff of Catapult.
yep.
And so it's all the same thing. And I mean, anyone that uses Catapult, like, you can't go in there and tell the head football coach, hey, the quarterback ran a lot today. We probably need to sit up. Like, he's not
Yeah.
going to go for that. So,
Right, right.
as much as I, love the idea of technology and everything, like, we don't have it. We have a jump mat,
Hmm.
and that's how we kind of measure, progress or, decline in performance. But
Hmm.
besides the jump mat and the catapults, we don't have anything. So it's
Nice.
kind of cool seeing like, we're coaching by eye and
Yep.
everything. I always say three E's: efficient, effective, explosive. I tell my GAs and interns out like, hey, that's what we're trying to do. And it's hard to teach that if they don't know what actual VBT is. So I have a personal VBT.
Hmm.
Um, thing. And so like we don't use it with the teams just because one person doing it, it just takes too long. So I have it to kind of educate ourselves, but I
Mm.
always preach explosive power and over strength. So you would think we have a lot of technology and that money. We don't. So the coach's eye is what I always say.
Yeah, definitely. I agree entirely with that. Like that's how it all started out, people just keeping an eye on it and like visually getting those feedbacks as a coach and then adjusting on it. But I know y'all got that nice indoor facility and everything's looking good up there. And isn't your weight room newer? Like didn't you guys get a renovation like in the last 5 years?
Yeah, so it used to be old volleyball gym. And
Uh
so what they did was move the volleyball gym to upstairs. So we added a volleyball gym upstairs, and the weight room is now the old volleyball. So it's a big, nice opening, and the weight room is 4 years old.
mm,
We're the only school in Michigan that doesn't have an
mm,
indoor practice facility, and
yep.
so we have plans to build it. It will start next summer. So this
Oh,
upcoming
nice.
summer is when it starts. So we're deep into Michigan winter, and
Yeah.
you got our guys pushing off snow off the field with the bags practicing. And
Mm.
so you don't. It sounds crazy at first, but when you actually see it in person, it's like holy cow! Like these dudes love football because
Yeah.
all the other schools get to practice indoor. And I think since I've been here, we've only done two indoor practices, like walkthroughs on a gym. And
Oh,
so
gotcha.
it's heavy snow outside and we're still practicing, which is cool. But
No, yeah.
yeah, we have a really nice weight room. I'm not gonna downplay that one. So it's a really nice weight room that I'm
Yeah.
very fortunate to have. When I first got here and saw it on my interview, my jaw hit the floor. So it's super nice. 20 or 10 double-sided racks, so a total of 20 racks.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But again, it's one weight room.
Yeah, yeah. And no, that's a testament to y'all's guys and willing to get out there and shovel some snow because I've had a couple staff from the north or they played ball up in the north and that cold is different from even Colorado or anywhere else. Like it's a doozy trying to, stay warm and make sure you guys got a good chance to practice and everything. Um, if you could pick up the phone and call Colton Haynes from 5 years ago, what would you tell him?
I just would say like the reason you started is because you want people to know why you did it, and that's reflect the way as I am as a person. The
Mm,
way I am as a person is the same way I want to be as a coach, and that's to be reliable, consistent, challenge growth, whether that's for me or coaches or athletes or interns. And just at the end of the day, just to continually challenge to grow. And so I would just tell myself to remind myself of that. Not that I don't do that. I
mm.
feel I'm very persistent in that. But just if you'd have told me 5 years ago that I'd be in Michigan, I'd be laughing at you because I'm from Mississippi. I
Mm.
did school in Arkansas. I've never seen snow more than 2 days in a row, before I came up here, and now it snows for months at a time.
Yeah.
So I just would, tell myself like, hey, like continue doing what you're doing because it's going to pay off. Those long early mornings, not that it's a bad thing, but it's going to build character. And I just I tell my athletes the 4 for 40 rule, and I tell myself that as well. 4 years of your life creates the next 40 years of your life too. So
That's a good one. I like that. And I might actually just steal that because it's definitely working with my staff is like, hey, this challenging time and this tough time is short. Like 4 years compared to the next 40 is, you in retrospect is pretty, short time to consider. Um, what is something that you got coming up in this next year that you're looking forward to in your strength and conditioning program, whether it's, you know, new piece of equipment or, type of programming or something that you're really excited to implement?
yeah, so since I've been here, I told myself I'd have the goal of like speaking and talking at different conferences and stuff, and I've
Mm,
been successful at that. I've spoken at three different clinics, and so that's really cool for me. I'm always looking to speak, and I actually started a podcast too. It's
Yeah.
not as good as yours and taking off, but I
Yeah.
just like talking to D2 people. So
Yeah.
that's always cool. I'm gonna start that back up once our season ends and stuff too, and
Definitely.
hopefully have you on. But
Yeah, absolutely.
we started hockey here. So
Yeah.
the last so sorry, let me rephrase that.
Mm.
The hockey coach retired last year. We didn't have hockey, and so this year's my first year training and coaching hockey, and the like that's so cool to see like the difference. And because these guys are, the youngest guy on the team is 21 years old. They do juniors,
Oh, wow.
and then they come into the college world, and you're dealing with a whole like different mature athlete who is completely opposite from the 18-year-old, football player that, just always walking around hyped up. So that's been a real good challenge for me. And obviously like reaching out to different hockey strength coaches because there's only 64
Mm.
Division I hockey teams in the country. So it's not a big field to talk to. Because I mean, obviously football is going on too and all the other sports, but you add a Division I program, it's the standards and the stakes are super high, and you want to, get them to the next level, just like you do with any other team. But these guys are so, mature and professional, and it's crazy thinking that, that I'm doing this at times. We actually played Western Michigan first game of the year, and I've never seen a college hockey game away. I've been to a couple at home here,
Yeah.
but the first game we played, the guys were like, "Man, you don't understand. This is like top three environment to play in for college hockey." I'm like, "What?" Like, what? And I got there, and that was the crazy. I mean, that was more electric than a lot of the football games I've been to,
Yeah.
and so um, that's a cool challenge for me to tackle. And then obviously, developing more interns and grad assistants and getting them to where they want to be is always a challenge because you want to show them the right way and teach them the right things. And, you only know so much, but showing them the right way through your experiences is always, challenging and fun. So I like doing stuff like that.
No, definitely. And didn't y'all's hockey team upset one of those Michigan teams? And uh it was a big win for y'all,
Yeah.
yeah.
Western Michigan, they were
Yeah.
number one in the country. And so
Yeah,
that was
that's
the
what I thought
first
I
time,
saw. Yeah.
again, that was my first away game, and we won. And I mean, the crowd was electric. The
Yeah.
guys were electric. I mean, it was just a crazy environment to be around because um, I'll say this humbly, like, ever since I've been here at Ferris, we've been top five in the country. So I know what winning feels like. But when you're on the other end with a team that's not winning, you do upset the number one team. Like how different it is just, I mean, it gives me chills just thinking about.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was awesome. I remember seeing your story about that and I was like, that's pretty cool. And speaking of, if
Yeah.
any of our listeners wanted to see what y'all got going on there at Ferris State and, see what you're doing, what's the best way our listeners could, check in, see what you got going on, or maybe even follow up if they have any questions for you?
Yeah, obviously social media. I'm big on Instagram. I try to like push out videos and do things. I mean, obviously the the games catch up in the off season. I try to post a lot and just get things going. So you can follow me. It's cheesy, but that's how
It's
I'm
awesome.
known as
It's a great
Gains
one.
by Haynes,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, yeah,
yeah, so you can follow me. I get back on messages on DMs because whenever I was a young coach and trying to learn, I was reaching out to guys, and I was fortunate enough to where people would reach out to me. So I'm always going to reach back. I love hopping on phone calls and just talking about you know methods, philosophy, X's and O's. So anytime you want to talk about anything like that, I'm open. I always make time for someone trying to learn because I was like that once where I was eager to learn and do things. And I remember the people who didn't get back out to me. And I remember the people who took the time and really helped me out with life because, in reality, you think you have something figured out, but there's always a better way to do things. And I say my way is like, just talking about it is always huge. So Instagram's big. I got to get on Twitter or X. I'm just old school, I guess, but
no, that's great. And I I appreciate you taking the time,
Um,
and it's definitely true, Coach, because I just DM'd you on Instagram, and I've been following you for a while, so I was like, hey, let's get on podcast, talk some shop, and uh, you're got a great program there. You're a good dude, and I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on here and then share some insight of what it's like to be up there in the Great North with really good athletic programs and just making it big where you're at. So, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I'll definitely look forward to having you on maybe in a year, and I'll see how the whole D1 hockey thing uh treated you, and it
oh
sounds
yeah,
like
definitely.
sounds like pretty exciting.
Yeah. Well, shout out to, I'm gonna give a couple shout outs if you don't
Yeah, of
mind.
course, absolutely. Go for it.
It wouldn't be, shout out to my wife, Whitney. It would without her. If you
Yeah.
don't have, you know what it's like, if you don't have a supportive wife or, significant others, it just don't work. So shout out to my wife, shout out to my assistants, Dom, Ed, and Riley. You're only as good as your staff is.
Mm,
Uh, they're willing to learn and do a lot of things, and it comes with time. Shout out to Matt Vargas and EJ Crease. I'm always calling them,
hey, there we go. Yeah,
talking
those
to
are
him,
my
talking
boys.
game. So Vargas is awesome. He always answers the phone for me.
Mm,
And shout out Andy Lackman at St. Paul at Minnesota,
yeah.
and obviously my mentor, Coach Golden at Arkansas Tech. So those are guys I always reach out to and talk to.
No,
But again, thanks, Coach, for having me on.
yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for your time, and I'll be reaching out. And good luck with the postseason with all your fall sports, and good luck with everything going on in the winter and spring. Thanks everyone for listening. Thank you to our great guests for taking the time to share their experiences. Thank you to Play and Team Builder for being great companies that help our profession. And most importantly, thank you, the listeners. Please find us on social media at Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0. Find our show notes on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Leave us a rating, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to say hi. It's great to hear from coaches from around the country. Talk to you all next week on another episode of Iron Game Chalk Talk 2.0.